My world came crashing down because of a lie her childhood friend told her. He claimed he wouldn't live more than a month, and with those words, my fiancée, Clara, unilaterally canceled the wedding I had been looking forward to for 6 years. She didn't just stop there. She packed every single one of my belongings from her villa and had them thrown out, all to make space for him. Leo once saved my life, Alex, she had told me, her voice gentle but firm. His only wish before he dies is to have me by his side. You just need to move out for a little while. Once his affairs are settled, we'll get married immediately. I promise. Don't worry. You're the only one I see as my husband. Please, just be understanding and give him this space, okay? I didn't answer her. She had already hired a moving service and was essentially forcing me out the door. The terrible irony was that she didn't know the truth. I was the one who had saved her life, not Leo. And if I didn't marry her within the month, a strange and inexplicable force, a system that had governed my existence here, would remove me from this world forever. I would simply disappear from her life. My mind was a complete blank as I watched Clara methodically shove my things into suitcases. It was only after she had erased every last trace of me from her home that the woman who had once called me her beloved finally seemed to notice my presence again. She spoke with a carefully constructed tone of guilt and affection. Alex, it's only for a month. Once Leo's wish is fulfilled, I'll bring you right back home. I swear nothing will happen between him and me. You're the only one I've ever chosen as my husband, and that will never, ever change. Her assurances did nothing to stir my heart. I felt oddly calm, almost detached. She had made promises like this before, yet her overly familiar actions with Leo never stopped. It didn't matter if I was jealous, angry, or argued with her about it. All I ever received were these seemingly sincere, but ultimately empty reassurances. Over time, I had grown numb to it, letting Leo move into my life and flaunt his presence in front of me. This, however, kicking me out of my own home, was a new low. She didn't know that Leo's story of heroism was a complete fabrication. I was the one who had saved her. Back then, the rules of the system I was bound by prevented me from explaining the details. But if Clara had only bothered to ask a few more questions, to dig just a little deeper, she would have easily learned the truth. Instead, she chose to believe Leo without question. It was in that moment I understood that the truth didn't matter. The only real answer was that she simply didn't love me enough. Alex, I've had your new place arranged just the way you like it, she said, her voice soft. The car to take you there is already waiting downstairs. Let's go down together, okay? Clara looked at me with a gentle expression, but her eyes betrayed a sense of urgency and impatience. Okay, I replied, picking up the suitcase she had packed for me. It was surprisingly heavy. Clara had made sure not a single thing of mine was left behind, from the mattress I slept on to my contact lens case. She had packed it all away, so Leo wouldn't have to feel upset by the sight of my possessions. Realizing this, I felt the last shred of my attachment sever. I just turned and walked toward the door. Clara hesitated, her expression complicated, before quickly following me. Let me get that suitcase for you. Without waiting for an answer, she took it from my hand, her eyes searching my face for a reaction. I didn't resist, just replying with a polite, "Thanks." Clara's expression grew even more remorseful. Throughout the drive, she looked like she wanted to say something several times, but never found the words. Her face was a storm of conflicting emotions. Once we arrived downstairs at the new villa, she reminded me, "If you need anything at all, just send me a text, and I'll have it sent over. You can also call me if you miss me." I calmly cut her off. "Got it, I won't disturb you too." Clara paused, then hurriedly tried to explain, "No, that's not what I meant at all." I offered a faint smile, finishing her sentence for her. "I know, you're just concerned about me." Hearing this, the guilt in Clara's eyes deepened. She said softly, "Alex, I love you. You know that, right? I softly interrupted her again. Right. I have to go now. Goodbye. I gestured for the driver to put the suitcase in the trunk. Just then, the sharp clack of expensive dress shoes on the cobblestones echoed behind me, accompanied by an overpowering wave of cologne. Leo approached, looking sharp in a designer suit, a cheerful smile plastered on his face as he casually linked his arm with Clara's. "Clara, I'm here," he announced. As he got closer, he feigned surprise at seeing me. "Alex, you're still here? I guess I came a bit too early. Perfect timing, though. I wanted to thank you personally for allowing Clara to spend my last month with me. Don't be fooled by how healthy I look. The doctor says my internal injuries are severe. Alex, please don't be upset. Clara told me you're the love of her life and that she just needs you to move for a short month." His words of thanks were drenched in a smug, victorious undertone. Clara didn't look happy. She frowned and interrupted him. "All right, Leo, go inside first. I need to have a private word with Alex." She casually wrapped an arm around my shoulders, an unambiguous gesture to assert her territory. Leo, however, just cast a disdainful glance in my direction and sighed with theatrical regret. "All right then, I'll leave you two to talk. I won't be an intruder." But as he started to walk away, he turned back with a smirk. "Oh, and Alex, while I'm here, would it be all right if I stay in your room?" Before I could even think of a response, Clara frowned at Leo. "We have plenty of guest rooms. Is there nowhere else for you to stay? Don't mess around. Alex's room is off limits." Leo's face fell instantly, and he looked crestfallen, replying with a pitiful voice. "All right, Clara. I guess a man who's about to die doesn't deserve a nice big room like Alex's. I'd be happy to settle for the basement, as long as you're there with me." Those words were like a key, unlocking Clara's sympathy once again. Her tone softened involuntarily. "Leo, that's not what—" She stopped herself as she noticed me watching, then quietly said, "Let's talk about this later. Just head inside for now." Leo finally left without another word, but not before shooting me a look that was both challenging and triumphant. We both understood what her non-answer meant. It was a yes. Once he was gone, Clara turned to me, her voice thick with emotion. "I'm so sorry, Alex. I didn't manage the timing well today. I know how you feel about seeing Leo, but don't worry. A month will pass by in a flash, and you can forget all about this ever happened, okay?" I replied with only a slight nod. "Okay." I prepared to get into the car. As I turned away, Clara's eyes suddenly reddened, and she grabbed my hand. "Alex, I'm so sorry you have to go through this." I simply responded, "It's fine." Clara stared intently into my eyes, as if my calmness was somehow more painful to her than any outburst would have been. After a few seconds, she seemed to come to a decision. In a gentle voice, she said, "Alex, I'll take you there. I'll spend a bit more time with you." I shook my head. "No need. Leo might be looking for you." Clara looked even guiltier. She replied softly, "It's okay. I can be with him a little later." But in the next second, her phone rang. Even though it wasn't on speaker, I could clearly hear Leo's voice on the other end. "Clara, I'm feeling a bit dizzy. Can you come up and be with me?" As expected, Clara looked hesitant. She furrowed her brows, glancing at me with a troubled expression. Before she could say anything, I spoke for her. "You should stay and take care of Leo. I'll be fine." With that, I got straight into the car. As the car pulled away, a familiar, disembodied voice echoed in my head. "Host, you are now separated from Clara. If you cannot complete the wedding ceremony with Clara within 1 month, you will be forcibly removed from this world." I am what you would call a strategist. 6 years ago, I was sent to this world with a single mission: to maximize Clara's affection level and marry her. Luckily, Clara and I had an instant connection and quickly fell in love. We had planned to get married at the end of this very month, but now everything had taken a disastrous turn. Insisting that Clara stay and complete the wedding wasn't entirely impossible, but it felt pointless now. When I arrived at the villa Clara had arranged, 2 maids were already waiting. The place was immaculate, adorned with my favorite gladioli flowers, and the bedroom had freshly laundered linens that had been dried in the sun. It was clear that Clara had been planning for me to move out for a long time. Today was just the day she finally told me. After washing up, I was ready to get some rest when a message notification popped up on my phone. It was from Leo. It was a close-up selfie of his face, which he deleted almost instantly. But it was too late. I could clearly tell that the background of the photo was my bedroom in Clara's villa. The wall, which originally held a framed photo of Clara and me, had been intentionally replaced with a portrait of Leo. I couldn't help but remember when Clara had begged me to move in with her. She had claimed that as long as she was around, there would always be a room for me in her home. Back then, her love for me was fierce. Whether it was renovations or daily decor, she always deferred to my tastes, sweetly saying, "Alex is the man of the house, so I should listen to the man of the house." But all good things, it seemed, eventually change. The next morning, a call from the photography studio woke me up. They were calling to let me know that the couple's photos we had taken last week were ready for pickup. They had tried calling Clara, but she didn't answer. I figured she and Leo were probably having one of their rare moments of alone time, and having her fetch our photos would just be inappropriate. I decided to go pick them up myself, and yet, as I stepped into the studio, the first thing I saw was Clara, radiant in a bridal gown emerging from a fitting room. Standing beside her, in a perfectly matching suit, was Leo, looking every bit the charming prince. In a voice dripping with infatuation, he exclaimed, "Clara, you are too beautiful. I never thought I would get to see you in a wedding dress before I die. This makes it all worth it." "Leo, don't keep bringing that up. Let's just enjoy the days we have left, okay? If you like this one, I'll keep it on and try a few more for you." "Yes, yes." Leo's grin was wide and triumphant. Nearby, a shop assistant whispered to her colleague, "Wait, isn't Clara's boyfriend named Alex?" Leo overheard and sneered. "Of course not. They broke up. I'm Clara's official boyfriend now." Hearing this, Clara's brows furrowed slightly, but she didn't refute his claim. The assistant quickly apologized. Sorry. This morning my manager told me to contact Miss Clara about her photos, but I ended up arranging it with Mr. Alex. I should have realized. It's all my fault." Clara's face changed. Just as she was about to ask a question, her eyes met mine at the doorway, her expression filled with panic. "Alex..." I turned and left without a word. Clara chased after me, urgently trying to explain. "Alex, don't misunderstand. I only brought Leo here to take some wedding photos to fulfill his dying wish. It's nothing more than that." I remained silent, which only made her more anxious. "He said we broke up, and I didn't clarify because there's no need to explain myself to strangers. You know how much I hate explaining things." I calmly observed her panic, but said nothing. Yet, Clara looked at me with a mixture of guilt and pleading. "Alex, please don't be like this. If you're upset, just say it. Bottling everything up isn't good for you, and it will hurt me to see you like this." I just shook my head. "I'm not upset. I just don't want to bother you two." Clara's guilt grew even deeper, her eyes filling with concern. She tried to change the subject. "Let's not talk about this. How was your first night at the new place? Are you adjusting okay? Are the staff doing their jobs well? Should I send the chef over?" "No need," I replied coolly. At that moment, an assistant came out with our framed photos. "Mr. Alex, here are your photos." Clara instinctively took them from the assistant, then hesitated for a moment before handing them to me. "Alex, you should take these home with you. I worry that Leo might..." "It's fine. I get it," I said, smiling faintly as I took the photos and walked away, completely unaffected by the guilty, longing gaze she fixed on my back. After leaving the studio, I roamed the city aimlessly. Around noon, I found myself at a restaurant Clara and I used to love. She used to try to recreate the dishes for me at home, but ever since Leo came back into the picture, she had stopped coming here with me. I had just sat down and ordered when I saw them. Clara and Leo, walking in hand, looking for all the world like a couple deeply in love, completely inseparable. Not wanting to cross paths with them, I picked a spot in a quiet corner. And yet Leo saw me right away. He pointed at me and shouted, "Alex, are you stalking us again?" The wedding photo session earlier might have been a coincidence, but following us all the way here is just unnecessary. He accused me with a pained expression, his eyes turning red as if he had been deeply wronged. "I know you love Clara, but do you really have to compete with a dying man? Would you only be happy if I just dropped dead right here and now?" I couldn't help but frown, thinking how incredibly dramatic Leo was. Clara's gaze was complex, but she still moved to console him. "Don't, Leo, go have a seat." Leo, acting deeply hurt, let tears well up in his eyes. "Clara, if Alex can't accept me, just say the word, and I'll vanish from this world. He doesn't need to provoke me like this." He clutched his chest, acting as if he were breathless. Clara panicked, helping him to a chair and soothing him softly. "Leo, calm down. Have some water." Just then, my order arrived. But after witnessing that spectacle, my appetite was completely gone. I turned to leave, but Clara suddenly intercepted me, her voice laden with emotion. "Alex, I know the pain you're going through, but I hope you can understand me. Leo can't handle any more stress. Just one more month, okay? Please don't make a fuss." I found the whole situation absurd, yet I just nodded without offering any explanation. Clara glanced at me again, her eyes showing a hint of pity as her tone softened. "Alex, no matter what happens between Leo and me, it's all just a show. I love only you. You are my future husband, and I swear on my life that I will marry no one else but you. Please, don't overthink things. It hurts me, too." I nodded again. Clara seemed to want to say more, but Leo called for her from the table, and I finally had my chance to leave. In the days that followed, I did everything I could to avoid any kind of encounter with them. I stayed home, tending to the flowers in the garden and feeding the fish in the pond. I just wanted to spend my last days in peace. During this time, Clara rarely contacted me. Once in a while, she would send a short message, checking on my health and telling me to wait for her. Leo, on the other hand, made sure I didn't miss them. Every few days, he would send photos of himself and Clara together, always accompanied by a taunting message. "Alex, are you eating and sleeping well? It must be tough for you knowing your girl is here with me." I never responded to his petty provocations. As the 1-month deadline drew near, the system's reminders became more frequent. "Host, if you fail to complete the wedding by the deadline, you will be forcibly removed from this world. Please act quickly." I ignored it multiple times until the system finally fell silent. Soon, the last evening arrived. Unexpectedly, I received a call from Clara. She sounded excited, her voice urgent. "Alex, great news! Leo's illness was a misdiagnosis. He's not going to die. I'll come and get you right now. Let's go home. I'm so sorry for everything this past month. Let me make it all up to you. I'll see you in half an hour, at most." After she hung up, I went to the 3rd floor window and calmly gazed out at the night sky. I thought I would leave this world quietly, but unexpectedly it seemed I would see Clara one last time. It felt like a fitting end, yet as time ticked by, she never returned. Midnight came, and the sound of festivities erupted outside. From my window, I saw brilliant fireworks spelling out the words, "Leo, I love you." The entire city seemed to be filled with the sound of celebrations. And then a loud, piercing alarm rang in my head. "Host, end your current body's life quickly. You are about to leave this world." When the next firework burst across the sky, I stepped forward and, without a moment's hesitation, jumped from the window. With a loud crash, warm blood splattered everywhere. Alarmed by the noise, the maids rushed over, trembling as they pulled out a phone to call Clara. "Ma'am, come back! Sir is hurt!" In a daze, I could hear Leo's dismissive voice on the other end of Clara's line. "Alex is just being theatrical again. He probably couldn't wait for you to pick him up and had the servants lie to get your attention." Before he could finish, Clara took over the call, her voice gentle. "Alex, I'm so sorry. I was busy helping Leo move his things out and couldn't fetch you sooner. Please don't scare me by saying such things." "Ma'am, sir." The servant's words were cut short as the call ended. Even so, seeing the situation, they called an ambulance. Time ticked by slowly. I lay motionless on the ground, almost able to hear the sound of the blood draining from my body as death crept up on me. I wasn't afraid. My mind uncontrollably drifted to memories of my happy times with Clara. We had first met at a concert hall where we performed a piano duet that left the entire audience in awe. We talked for hours about life and philosophy and found a deep, profound connection. Our love had been so deep, so real. Yet the scene faded as quickly as it came, leaving me feeling utterly alone. I thought I had made my choice, that I wouldn't cling to anything in this world. But surprisingly, in my final moments, it was Clara's face I saw. Tick-tock. Host-exit countdown 3, 2, 1. A bright white light flashed before my eyes. In my fading vision, I saw Clara's car screech to a halt in front of the villa. She hurriedly got out, bursting through the door, her face lit with joy as she called out, "Alex, I'm here to get you!" She moved through the villa, but when she couldn't find me, she jokingly called upstairs, "Alex, don't play around. Come out, we're going home. I missed you this whole month. I know you missed me too." That's when a servant rushed in, her face pale with panic. "Ma'am, he jumped. He jumped off the building." "What are you saying?" Clara frowned, displeased by the absurdity of the statement. She didn't believe the servant, not until she noticed the fresh bloodstains on the woman's clothes, along with the unmistakable terror in her expression. Another servant rushed in, almost tripping as she stuttered, Ma'am, causing Clara's own panic to rise. Sensing the horrifying truth, they led her to the backyard, where she stopped cold at the sight of the dark pool of blood on the ground. She couldn't bring herself to move any closer. "It can't be. Alex isn't that foolish." "Impossible," Nina murmured, frozen in place. Only when the servants urged her forward again did she slowly approach and finally see my lifeless body. Clara collapsed on sight. Tears streamed down her face, but she was unable to react, as if she were frozen in time. It took several minutes for her to respond to the servants' concerned calls. Then, she crumbled completely, shouting, "Alex, why? Why now? I was coming for you. I was just a little late. Why?" Her cries echoed through the night, her bloodshot eyes filled with a despair so profound it was terrifying. Normally obsessed with cleanliness, she was completely unaware of the blood that now covered her hands and knees as she knelt beside me, lost in her sorrow. Fearing her cries might cause a scene, the servants tried to console her. "Please, ma'am, this was unexpected." "What do you mean, unexpected? Explain what that means. I told you to watch over Alex for this month. Why didn't you stop him from jumping? Why?" Red-eyed and raging, Clara terrified the servants. One of them turned pale and whispered, Sir jumped after he saw the fireworks from Mr. Leo. We were watching them from the kitchen, and he must have seen them too." Her voice trailed off. Clara shattered. She clutched her chest, trembling violently. "Fireworks! My fireworks! I killed Alex." She collapsed onto the soil, her nails digging into the dirt, breaking and bleeding without her even noticing. The ambulance arrived far too late. The paramedics in their white coats took one look and confirmed what everyone already knew. "We're sorry. Please prepare for the worst." My body had long grown cold. Nothing could save me now. Clara stopped screaming, her cries turning into broken sobs as if she had lost all her strength. She just stared blankly at my body, numb, like a puppet whose strings had been cut. Watching her in her state of despair and regret, I didn't feel a sense of satisfaction or vindication. I just wanted to move on quickly. That's when the system, which had been silent for a while, finally came back online. Host, we're very sorry, but the system has not yet matched you to a new game world. You will have to stay here for one more day. Fine. I would stay another day. I didn't feel strongly opposed to it, nor was I looking forward to it. I was just curious to see how she, the woman I had once truly loved, would handle my aftermath. That's when Leo's car pulled up. He waved at Clara with a big, confident grin. Clara, what are you doing here? I bet Alex was just trying to scare you. His little tricks wouldn't fool anyone else, but someone as straightforward as you. Are you two fighting? Maybe you should just leave him there to think about it for a month. Leo was joking around, getting closer as he spoke. But before he could reach my body, Clara sprang to her feet and slapped him hard across the face. Shut up! Stunned, Leo staggered back. Clara, you... Before he could finish, Clara grabbed his hair and dragged him toward my body, delivering a swift, hard kick to his side. Is this your idea of a little trick, Leo? Open your eyes and take a good look. The kick knocked the wind out of him, and he turned pale. Just as he was about to start whining, his eyes fell upon my mangled body, and he let out a terrified scream. He fell to the ground, trembling and shaking so violently that a dark puddle formed beneath him. Dead? How did he die? Alex's death. It's got nothing to do with me, Clara. Clara glared at him, hissing through gritted teeth. Leo, I told you to cancel those fireworks. Why didn't you do it? Shaking, Leo replied. The guy had already set everything up. Canceling would have been a hassle, and you had already paid for it, so I let it go. It was just fireworks. Clara, I didn't mean any harm. Alex wouldn't kill himself over a few fireworks. It doesn't make any sense. Clara's face was ashen, her emotions a chaotic storm. After a long, terrifying pause, she said, Leo, if it weren't for the help you've given me in the past, I would rip your tongue out just for what you said. Get lost. Leo wanted to argue, but with Clara's cold command, he quickly scrambled away. Yet, before he left, his eyes shifted, as if he had just thought of something thrilling. Clara had my body taken back to her villa, hiring professionals to prepare it gently. As stacks of tissues stained with her tears and my blood piled up, her grief felt like a heavy, unbearable weight in the room. Still, she held my cold hand, her voice hoarse. Alex, don't be afraid. I promise to take you home. We'll be home soon. I made a mistake. I know I messed up. That's why you chose such a drastic way to end your life. I'm so sorry. Inside, as a spirit, I felt nothing. Why was she torturing herself like this? I was gone now. She could be with Leo openly. Wouldn't that be better? There was no need to put herself through this. I'm not sure how much time passed, but as dawn broke, Clara drove us back to my old home. As soon as she carried me into the bedroom, she stopped, her expression one of utter shock. But it was too late. Once my body was laid on the bed, I saw that my room was almost unrecognizable. The wallpaper had been torn down and replaced with an awful, sickly yellow that I had always hated. Even the furniture had been swapped out. Most insultingly, a cozy photo of Leo and Clara was now hanging on the wall. Clara broke down completely. She ripped the photo from the wall and threw it to the ground, yelling, "Get rid of everything that doesn't belong to Alex! I want all traces of him gone! Now, go!" Her emotions swung wildly, leaving everyone in a panic as they scrambled to follow her orders. Clara turned back, gazing at my face with a tender, desperate devotion. She whispered, "Alex, please don't be mad. I'll make it just like it was before." Then, fresh tears fell freely. "What have I done? I must be losing my mind!" She cried harder, hitting her own chest in self-punishment, How could I have let anyone else stay in your room? What was I thinking? I'm a monster, a monster! This whole scene was just her, breaking apart, alone in the room with my spirit observing, unable to respond. After all, she had made her choices. She had even packed my things and sent me away with her own hands. Eventually, exhausted, she collapsed beside the bed. When she awoke again, it was bright outside, around 7 or 8 in the morning. Seeing my stiff body next to her, Clara was overcome with grief, yet again. But this time she didn't just wallow in it. She called her assistant and said, "Today at noon, there will be a wedding for Alex and me. It must be grand and impressive, have everything arranged." With the plans in motion, she had me dressed in a fine groom's suit. She paid a hefty sum, and the frightened makeup staff began their work in tense silence. Clara sat blankly, letting them dress her in a breathtaking bridal gown. This was the wedding we had always dreamed of, but it was happening the day after my death. What a cruel, twisted joke. We were once the love of each other's lives. Suddenly, Leo barged in, looking worried when he saw Clara in her wedding dress. Speaking quietly, he pleaded, "Clara, I know this is hard, but marrying a dead man won't do you any good. What will people think? This wedding, I think you should reconsider." Before he could continue, Clara cut him off sharply. "Since when do you get to have a say in my and Alex's wedding? Leo, you're getting way out of line. Get out." Nina gave the order, and Leo didn't dare say another word, quickly leaving. Soon, they were at the wedding venue. Some of the guests knew the truth, while others didn't. But after a few drinks, everyone was clued in. Some whispered that Clara was acting crazy. Others thought she was just too deeply in love, unable to let go. No matter how hopeless the situation, they said, Clara was obsessed, willing to risk everything for a man. The ceremony continued as planned. Clara held a microphone, looking at the open coffin where I lay, and said, "Alex, I promised I would marry you, that we would have an unforgettable wedding. I've done it. But it's too late. It's okay, though. You will always be my husband. My love? From this day on, I am your wife, Clara." She spoke with deep, raw emotion, her eyes overflowing with tears. She placed the wedding ring on her own finger and pressed her hand to her chest. The atmosphere was strange. It wasn't lively, nor was it solemn. No one knew what to say. Clara didn't care. She had completed her solo performance. After the ceremony, a man named Mark, a mutual friend, couldn't help but step up to comfort her. "Clara, you know you can't bring people back from the dead. I'm sure Alex, wherever he is, wouldn't want you to suffer for him. After all, when he saved you, he wasn't even afraid to die. He almost bled out for 3 days and nights. It was only because he was young and strong that he survived. But alas..." As Mark talked, Clara suddenly interrupted him, her expression puzzled. "Mark, what are you saying? Alex saved me? The blood transfusion?" Mark frowned, glancing at Clara with a look of disdain. "Clara, when you got injured on that project site and were rushed to the hospital, you had severe blood loss. Since you have that rare AB-negative blood type, Alex was the only match on site. How could you possibly forget something like that?" Hearing this, it felt like Clara's entire world shattered. Her body shook fiercely, and her face turned a grim, pale white. She asked repeatedly, her voice trembling, "Wasn't it Leo who saved me?" "Leo? You mean that guy who rushed over to get close to you after you woke up? He doesn't even have the same blood type as you. How could he have saved you?" "Not the same blood type?" Clara's voice was a desperate whisper. Her whole body shivered uncontrollably. "So, my savior was Alex? It was always Alex, right? Why didn't you tell me sooner? Do you have any idea what I've done?" Clara couldn't finish her sentence, breaking down into ragged sobs. Mark frowned, even more confused now. "Clara, this is a big deal. You didn't think to ask someone about it? Did Leo just say he saved you and you immediately believed him?" He looked at Clara, puzzled. Clara, however, was pale and frozen in place, not moving for a long, agonizing moment. After the wedding, A numb Clara took my body back home. At this point, a timid servant approached her with a stack of photos. "Miss Clara, we found these in Sir Alex's room. You might want to take a look." Taking the photos, Clara's face turned dark as she flipped through them. They were all the pictures Leo had sent to me. Pictures of him and Clara together. Clara feeding him grapes by hand, adjusting his collar. The two of them playing chess, drinking tea. Each photo was taken at a very calculated angle, designed to show a strange, intimate affection between them. A few seconds later, Clara ripped all the photos into tiny pieces, screaming, "Leo, you bastard! I won't let you get away with this!" And then, Leo was invited to Clara's place. The house had been decorated like a bridal chamber, colorful and festive. He showed up in a sharp little suit, looking completely pleased with himself. "Clara, you've finally come around. Alex is gone, we need to move on. Don't worry, I'll take good care of you." Clara watched him quietly, her face eerily calm. Leo continued, "Clara, maybe we should bury Alex first, and then we can have our wedding night. Otherwise it might feel a bit odd. Alex would want you to be happy." Clara remained silent for a long moment, then said, "Leo, you weren't the one who saved me, right?" Leo's face changed instantly, but he quickly composed himself, forcing a smile. "Clara, of course I saved you. Why are you even asking that?" Clara stared at him intently, speaking one word at a time. "You saved me? What's your blood type? Even now you're still lying to me?" Her eyes blazed with fury as she finished, her voice full of raw anger. Leo looked terrified. Before he could speak up, Clara continued, "You deliberately sent those photos to Alex and you set off those fireworks at midnight. It was all to push him, to make him kill himself. Leo, you're a murderer!" Leo instinctively defended himself. "No, Clara, what are you talking about? I don't know what you mean." "You don't know?" Clara threw the shredded pieces of the photos in his face, the tiny scraps raining down around him. Leo was stunned, and he hurriedly tried to explain himself. "I've always loved you. That's the only reason I did any of it. I never meant to harm anyone. If loving the wrong person is a crime, then I'm guilty. Yes, I didn't actually save you, but I just mentioned it once and you believed me. Why didn't you ask more questions? You must have subconsciously thought it was me, right?" He looked at Clara eagerly, hoping for some kind of affirmation, but Clara just slapped him hard across the face. "You don't deserve it." Leo was dazed by the slap, taking a few seconds to react. "It doesn't matter if you admit it or not. You still went on dates with me all the time, right? If you were so in love with Alex, then how did I fit in? Clara, just admit it, you love me," Leo pushed. Clara completely lost her cool. She grabbed a heavy glass ashtray from the table, ready to strike him, but at the last second, she let it drop to the ground with a crash. She sat down, defeated. Leo inched closer, trying to say more, but Clara just spoke 2 words toward the door. "Feed him." Within 30 seconds, 2 large, burly men came into the room, covering Leo's mouth and dragging him away. Clara just sat on the floor the whole time, mumbling to herself, "Alex, I've avenged you. Alex, does this mean you'll forgive me?" As a bystander, just a wandering spirit, I was left feeling helpless. I didn't hate her, so there was nothing to forgive. This was all her own doing, her life's lesson to learn. In less than half an hour, a bodyguard came in and reported that they had dealt with Leo. The body had been fed to the dogs. Clara just nodded slightly. I was stunned. I never thought she had been serious when she said that. The Clara I knew, who had always seemed like a calculating, sophisticated heiress, didn't even blink when she had Leo, someone she had once cherished, killed. She had really gone this far for me. I had to admit, I was shocked. If she loved me, then why Leo? But if she didn't love me, why go so completely insane? I didn't get it. But maybe I was never meant to understand. The next moment, a voice rang in my head. "Host, prepare to exit the world. 3, 2, 1. After opening my eyes again, I found myself in a college lecture hall. My brain buzzed as the system, sounding crackly and glitchy, asked me, "Do you want to delete the memories from the last strategy?" "Delete," I replied quickly. "Let the past be the past." A few seconds later, my head spun as if something had been physically yanked from my heart. Then I realized my new target was a senior in my class. Her name was Chloe. She was stunning, brilliant, and incredibly polite. I started with my usual routine, asking for her help with homework, followed by dinner invitations and little surprises. We got closer over time, but every time I asked the system about her affection level, it remained silent. Days went by, and I almost thought the system had ghosted me. I threw myself completely into this new relationship. One day, as Chloe and I were standing outside her dorm, whispering before I was about to confess my feelings, I heard that faint buzzing sound again. "Chloe, will you be my girlfriend?" "Sure," she said with a smile. You said yes?" "Yeah, I did. Is that so surprising?" No, I replied, scratching my head and blushing. That's when the system signal came back, clear and strong, but the voice was different. "Host, a new system has been assigned to you. Your current affection level is at 99%. The voice sounded strangely, hauntingly familiar. I blurted out, "New system, what's your name?" After a long pause, it answered softly, "Clara."